I'm going to do this.
So today is...
Oh, sorry. Today... yeah, go ahead.
Today we're going to have a nice...
I was...
Sean, no, sorry.
It's just the last time you started the last one, I was going to start this one.
Okay.
We're just doing an intro.
So
it really
we'll
doesn't matter who starts.
So I'll just go.
Okay. So
hey,
today...
what?
Oh, I thought... Oh,
No,
Let me just do it. Let me just do it.
Okay.
Listener, here is SmartLess.
Okay.
SmartLess.
Listen, I think it's been 3 weeks since we've done this, since I've seen you, since I've talked to you.
Yeah.
And I have to say I've had some long drives in the last 3 weeks, so I've gone ahead and done some quality control, listening to our podcast. I'm not great at it because I'm listening to them after they've already reached the public. So
are you picking up some long hauler miles, some deliveries? What's going on?
I am. I've got some 5-hour energy cases I'm trying to get through.
Okay, sure.
So it's really been nice listening to you fellas. You're both very talented and very funny on the podcast. I'd really like to be more of a part of it. But so I was very excited to...
part of it.
I was very excited to see you guys today. But then this morning, listener,
This
morning, a real dark cloud floated over our family here at SmartLess.
Jason, can I just interrupt? Is it possible to say, like, is it possible for a dark cloud to then give you a gut punch? Is that possible?
Sure.
What happened?
Yeah. Will, why don't you take it from here?
Well, Jason read something that I read. We all read it.
Oh, God.
Well, I read it.
Actually,
I read it after you sent it to me.
Here we
no,
go.
actually, you know what? Sean sent it. Yes, exactly.
I sent it before I read it.
I don't think so.
Sean sent an article to Jason and me in the thread that we're in
with some feigned exclamation points, like
"Hey, like this is
yeehaw!
Great. This is great for us." And by the way, I'm going to put it out there. If anybody thinks they're worthy of being in the text thread, let us know, and maybe we'll
add you.
putting you on the. Yeah, we'll add you to the thread. And Sean says, "Congrats for us. Yay for us." And it's a click to the Hollywood Reporter. SmartLess nominated. Great. Nominated for a bunch of podcast awards or whatever.
Which is kind of neat because this is, this is an embarrassment.
It's a mom and pop operation. Yeah.
We apologize.
Yeah.
The fact that we're getting any traction whatsoever, let alone nominations, just thank you to
unbelievable.
all you folks out
It's
there.
pretty great.
Thank you. And also it's embarrassing. Jason's right. It is kind of embarrassing. So then, if you read further down in the story, they're nominated Best Podcast, blah, blah, blah. And Sean Hayes nominated for Best Host.
Which is the worst, which is the kiss of death, because now everybody's like, well, he's not really that great.
Well,
I don't think they're saying it out of the side of their mouth either. I think it comes straight out the center.
Straight out. And here's my thing. Today, I can't wait to see you host.
Yeah.
Let's see what you got,
host.
Sean.
This is going to be the worst experience for me.
Yeah. Well, the voters are now listening, right? Because the nominations are out. Now they really have to decide.
Pay attention to his hosting.
My questions are still going to be like, hey, where are you from?
Yeah. No, don't worry. We know that.
That obviously resonates with the jury over there.
The iHeartMedia people have made a bunch of mistakes
when Sean said, "What's your favorite color?" I mean, how did he come up with these?
Let's nominate that jackass.
Yeah, here we go. Jeez, I'm not going to be able to come up for air for a while. On
We're
this
thrilled for you, Sean.
Yeah, we really are.
I'm thrilled for everybody. And look,
I said to Sean, by the way, I did say, "Congrats, man," and he was like, "Oh, thank you." And I responded, "I didn't mean it. What are you doing?"
How dare you say thank you?
I responded with, I didn't read I truly didn't know. I didn't read the article. I just read the headline, like most people.
Sure.
It is true. I think Sean might be the kindest man I've ever met.
Not possible.
No one deserves it more.
Not around you two.
All right, zip it up. We've got an interesting guest today. He's known primarily in New Zealand and South Africa due to his success in rugby.
Okay.
Florida then came to love him when he pivoted his talents towards highlight and dog racing. And then when he was in California, he was attempting to be the first to successfully mend the San Andreas Fault. He tried his hand at acting. And while fame and fortune there has been scarce, at best, some call it a wipeout.
Sure.
The critics have given him a few hugs. So he has received a couple of Academy Awards and 7 Emmy Awards.
What?
He's gotten himself a Tony nomination, even an AFI
Highlight player
Life.
who has Academy
He
Awards?
turned it
Really?
around. He got a Lifetime Achievement Award from AFI. BAFTA gave him something.
Who is this
The
guy?
Golden Globes gave him the Cecil B. DeMille Award. The Kennedy Center honored this highlight player. And Barack Obama gave him the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Wait
So
a
I
second.
say chin up. I say chin up to this fella.
I have no idea.
This is the most highly decorated guest we've ever had.
know.
I would say so. Yet he's famous and fortunate in our book. Okay, please welcome the forever struggling but always diligent, America's own and Hollywood's best, Mr. Tom Lamar Hanks.
No.
man.
Yeah.
Had I known that Sean was the host of this podcast, I would have bailed. I said, guys, I'd like to, but, I don't like to work from home.
Yeah, apparently, you're working with one of the brightest hosts in the business.
Yeah,
Is there a name for this award? Does it named after somebody? Is it?
it's called the aorta because it's from iHeartMedia.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
That's not true, but that's my pitch.
One of my hard-hitting nominee questions is, where are you right now? I don't recognize that room.
I'm in a tiny little cubby hole that is here in my vast compound, somewhere in the tri-state area.
I'm telling you, dog racing really pays, guys. You got to look into it.
It's within a single day's drive from Lakewood, Ohio, home of the Great Lakes Shakespeare Festival.
Wait, you didn't?
Is it true?
No.
Are we already going to plug? Are we already plugging a festival? I mean, this is quick.
It was a long time ago.
Wait, did you really do dog racing?
No, you dumbass. This
I
is
thought it was
why
like,
you're
what
not
is
going to
that?
win.
You're the worst host.
Jason was demonstrating his, quote, comedy chops,
Yeah,
unquote.
boy. Guys, can I write or what? Huh?
Wait, hang on. I think Tom's onto something. Let's get into Jason's comedy chop real quick.
I told some friends last night that I was doing this podcast, and first of all, I had to re-explain your names.
Who we were, yeah.
They said, Sean, who? Jason, what? Will, huh? What is the name of it?
Yeah.
I kept calling it Helpless based on the Neil Young song. But now I realize, no, it's SmartLess.
We really are helpless.
And the question came up about you, Will.
Uh-oh.
Which was this question: has he started using a different voice professionally? Mm-hmm. That in your early days, you were kind of like Squeaky. You sort of sounded like Jay North in those old Dennis the Menace reruns, and you were hilarious. But then you went off and voiced Batman, and it's as though you're walking around with your own self-imposed EQ on your voice now all the time. True or false, Will?
Here, like any good politician, I can't just give you a straight true or false. I will say that I constantly have a monitor in my ear, and I'm adjusting my levels, my input levels.
Right.
And so then I can monitor. No, you know what? It's funny. I recently, I often watch a lot of my old stuff because I like to be entertained.
And he has trouble sleeping.
Yeah.
No, but my voice has gotten. It has. But if you listen to Howard Stern,
It's just because of abuse, I guess. Do you still smoke?
Well, who's listening? I'm just learning.
We had Sean Penn on the podcast. He went through a full pack of darts, didn't he?
He did go through a pack of darts.
Darts. That's colloquial for cigarette.
Yeah, it's Canadian.
As opposed to, say, coffin nail or
Or a nail.
or bullet.
Actually, Tom, this brings me to an actual question about the nail. I noticed recently I was reading the 10th book in the Gunter what's his name series by Philip Kerr, and I noticed your name on the back of it. And you gave a little blurb for the back of for the jacket of Prussian Blue, which I'm almost finished with.
Oh, that's a great one.
It's a great one, right?
Gunther, help me.
Bernard
out
Gunther.
Bernie Gunther series. He plays a okay.
Yeah, you explain it.
Go. Be merciful on me on this, okay? He plays a non-Nazi private investigator from 1928 Berlin through well after the war.
That's right.
It's a fabulous series by Philip Kerr. The late Philip Kerr. He passed away.
Yeah, I know, too early, yeah.
And I read them all and just, I'm not a big like detective genre fiction writer.
Me neither.
But this had that added bonus of very accurate sort of historical detail to it that I really loved.
It's a tremendous historical fiction, and you're absolutely right. And I'm with you, Tom. I read mostly nonfiction. And somebody recommended, they said, you love all this European history. I think you'd like this. I'm fully, like I said, I just started at the beginning of the summer, and I'm on book 10, Prussian Blue.
Yeah, right.
But he always refers to cigarettes as nails. And he gets beaten up by these Nazis, and then they look down and he's spitting out blood, and they say, what do you want? And he looks up and he says, can I get a nail?
Yeah. And you know what? When he smokes one, he looks really cool.
He looks really, really cool.
He looks really good. What I like about those books is it fills in the blanks of his war years, because some of them take place well before World War II, some of them take place after World War II, and in the course of it, you see what he went through. In the course.
Thanks, guys, for firing us out of the gate here at the start of the interview.
Yeah,
you know, our listeners love literature. Go, Sean. You're the host. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Come on. By the way, Sean, I have my hand on my buzzer. Hand is right on my buzzer.
Okay,
I'm ready
good.
to buzz in with the correct answer.
Good. I want to know what your fascination with war is, because your name is so synonymous. I've never asked you this in my entire life. Why are you so passionate?
Yeah, you're the
about
war guy.
The history of
He loves a good
war.
fight. It started with Highlight, I think, right?
That dog racing, you know, first of all, we do a lot of them because none of the projects have to have cell phones or laptops.
Sure.
So that alone makes the writing of them so much easier, and there's much less special effects of having to put in those screens. But I get this question asked to me quite often, and the answer always comes down to when, in those formative years of, say, 7 through, when you're a little kid, every single caregiver, every single adult in my life would make references to the 2 words, 3 letters each, the war. Yeah. And they talked about it as this great dividing line in their lives. There was before the war, there was during the war, and there was just after the war. And they talked about it as though it's almost like, well, that was when the Black Plague was walking among us, For a big chunk of their lives, they had no idea where they were going to be in another 6 months. They had no idea how long the war was going to last. That's one big aspect of it. The other part of it, too, is that the bad guys lost.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we were able to somehow, unfortunately, necessarily kick the stuffing out of them. And when bad guys lose something, it's that, what is that, power of myth of, is it Bill Moyers, the world was on a quest to defeat people that were undeniably evil. The governments of those places and many of the populace. So I keep getting drawn back to that. And again, I will say that from a storytelling perspective, our present day is just so there is no shame left anymore.
Right. No.
Truth seems to be a malleable, viscous kind of like
it's a distant memory truth, it seems like. And actually, you know what, Tom, Sean, actually, within the last 6 months, I don't know if you remember, we were talking about all the movies you've done, the war movies, and Tom said, do you think he'll ever make a movie about TikTok? And, because something that he thinks
I'll buy a ticket right now.
For Sean and Scotty, there's before TikTok and then after TikTok.
Well, if I did, it would only be about 45 seconds long. How long is your average TikTok?
And then I won't be. And then I won't be able to wait for the sequel.
Tom, I know that you'd never compare your experience shooting Saving Private Ryan to those who actually fought, in all of that and during all that. But was there ever a moment? I'm sure. I bet there was a few moments while you were shooting that where you got close to the feeling maybe of what it might have been like. I mean, certainly the product, the result of that film took me there, or as close as I think I could get. But I would imagine there were a few moments there where it just, based on the quality of the production, they managed to create some environments for you there and your own process of trying to get into the character and the realism of it, where you were kind of struck a bit by what these guys must have gone through.
Well, yeah. But at the same, it was all fake,
Sure, but I mean,
you got to take that into account. But when we were on the beach there in County Wexford in Ireland, which is where we shot the Omaha beach sequences.
Oh, so it wasn't right there.
Well, it was one of the places where they rehearsed some of it. So that's one aspect of it.
How far was base camp from the beach?
Oh, it was way. Well, I was gonna incorporate that into this anecdote.
Sorry.
So just light up another nail, Will, and take that pause. We're there with 500 members of the actual members of the Irish Army. There is landing craft everywhere, and we're all storming the beaches. And the special effects crew had laid out these tiny little flags on the beach where they had set up air mortars and squibs, little explosive devices.
Things to avoid.
Yeah, and they actually said, be careful, right? Because, this is like a projectile. Yeah. It'll come out of the ground very fast. So if you can, try to avoid where the flags are. I said, I think I got that. Then they removed all the flags, and we couldn't see anything.
Oh, my God.
Of where, so we were just stumbling all wandering away. So there's all of that, and it's dressed the way it is. And there were always 4 or 5 cameras going, and once the shot began, and you're wet, and you're cold, and you're coming up, and out of a corner of one eye, you see a guy catch on fire. And out of the corner of the other eye, you see a guy blown 40 feet into the air, and he loses a leg in the process. Literally, we had amputee stunt people.
Oh my God!
Then
they were amputated before you shot.
They were amputated before.
Thank God, just to clarify.
And even though there's harnesses and there's wires and whatnot, machine guns are going off all around you, and explosions are happening like crazy. And it goes on for the better part of 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, and there was a degree of sort of like odd, fake, and yet at the same time terror that was going on.
Yeah.
So we were shooting down there all morning long. I'm going to say about on maybe the second day of shooting, because the first day of shooting was spent in the boats themselves.
Wow.
And I climbed up the steps to the bluff. They had put in these wooden steps so we could get up to the base camp. Will?
Sure.
That's where catering and craft services.
Not far as the crow flies, but it was awfully high. It was probably about 600-700 feet up the bluffs. And I went back and I found the other guys in the unit who I would be meeting when we got up to the shale, which was the defilade that was at the top of the beach. That's where I would come across Barry Pepper and Eddie Burns and Vin Diesel and the other guys. And they were still hanging around, outside the trailers, the way actors do.
Sure.
And I was wet and I was sandy and I was near deaf from the amount of noise that had gone on. And I told the guys, I said, you guys better hold on to your hats because it's really wild down there. You are not going. I mean, when you see a guy catch on fire out of the corner of your eyes, you're kind of, and no one said,
right,
Tom,
and no one's prepped you.
No one has said there's going to be a guy caught on fire on this side, and it's it was an interesting kind of panic.
You know what's interesting, and this is kind of folding back to what you were saying earlier. One of the reasons that what I love about that movie, and I love that movie,
so
Tom.
much.
I'm not embarrassed to say I love it so much, and I've seen it a lot of times. And one of the things I really love about it, and you kind of touched on this whole idea of.
Can't wait for the musical version? Or?
No.
97, by the way. 1997.
Which is insane.
That's when it came out. Wow. It seems like 2 years ago.
But you had that moment where your character is a school teacher, I think. Is that right? Or
yeah, we decided
he's a school
on that at some point.
But the idea that it doesn't matter what he is, he's just a regular. This is what the thing of this, particularly this war. There was the Great War, which they referred to World War I as, but then there was the war, this war, World War II. And he was a guy who was called to do something extraordinary. He wasn't a guy who was born to be a military officer. He wasn't a guy who was born to be a killer. He was a guy who had to go because that's what he had to do. And people came in this moment when the entire world was at war and did extraordinary things. And I always loved that about it. And I think that, for me, it really captured what it is that sort of makes me have such. It's weird to have reverence for the war, but you have reverence for the bravery and what people did that were extraordinary things.
You want to make an anti-war movie at the same time that you're making a war movie.
Right.
Let me tell you a story. I was 18 years old, I think, and I was a bellman at the Royal Hotel in Oakland, California, and we had a a guy who ran his own dry cleaning service would come and collect the clothes and take them away and then deliver the clean clothes. And he was always coming with, dozens and dozens of shirts and pants that had been dry cleaned. And I was working there one summer, and he was gone for 2 weeks. I'm going to say his name was Mike. I can't remember what his name was. Sure. But Mike was gone for 2 weeks, and somebody else came in every day. And then after 2 weeks, it was in June, after 2 weeks, he came back from his vacation. I said, "Oh, hey, Mike, where were you these last 2? Oh, no, I take a vacation every June." I said, "Oh, do you go camping?" He said, "No, I get together with some of my old buddies." I said, "Oh, where did you go?" Well, this year we went back to this place that we had visited back when we were kids. I said, "Oh, where was that?" He said, "It's in the north of France." Mm-hmm. He was a paratrooper. He was in the 82nd Airborne.
Wow.
This guy is now, this 1974. So go back 40 years. So he's in his 50s. And what he's telling me is that when he was in his 20s, he jumped into Normandy on D-Day, and he was a paratrooper. And now he's a guy delivering his dry cleaning for the hotel.
Yeah.
I felt stupid and small, but also he was an example of that adult, that caregiver that was part of daily life. That that he didn't know if he was going to make it back, and he went. Oh, he said, and we go back. He said this. He said we go back to visit the buddies that didn't make it home. Mm-hmm. So they're visiting the cemeteries that are in. So look, that's a generation. It was a time that was loaded with all sorts of problems that, of course, we're still dealing with right now. Mm-hmm. But you can't take away the fact that these were young guys who were asked to go off and liberate the world from really, really bad people, and they did it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. My grandfather, I'll leave it at this. My grandfather, who passed almost 12 years ago, who I was really close with and loved dearly. I remember him telling me he worked with. He was in the Canadian Army, but he was attached to the Royal Air Force, and he planned bombing sorties. And they were stationed at various airfields as they would move across, as they after June 44. Yeah. And he said, one morning we wake up and there was constantly planes taking off and landing and stuff. And they were and he said, one morning his tent, the guy who he shared a tent with, woke up, came out of the tent and walked into a propeller of a plane in the dark.
Jeez.
And I said, and he didn't tell me this until I was about 18, of course. And I said, well, what did you do? And he said, and he wasn't joking. He said, well, I got a new tent mate. And I was like, wow. And he was just like, that's the way it went. We had to keep going. What can you do?
I don't want to go into the place I was. That's too much of a bummer of a story. Sad story, true story.
It's very sad. Anyway.
I think a perfect segue would be Happy Days. Right?
Sure, let's go.
Let's talk about.
Let's go to Happy Days. Let's go to some
In
Happy
order
Days.
to make Saving Private Ryan happen, or any of the other incredible movies that you have been in.
IMDb reading sons of bitches.
No. How dare you? This is pure Wikipedia.
How dare you come at me
Wikipedia.
with this?
So had you not booked that episode on Happy Days, would you have not met Ron Howard and things? We would not have been gifted the highlight
player. I did not meet Ron Howard on Happy Days. Ron had left the series by then. The guys I met were Lowell Gans and Babalu Mandel, who were the staff writers on Happy Days, who wrote who wrote Splash, the screenplay of Splash. Yeah. And Ron was directing, and they said, hey, you may want to, take a look at that guy who got fired from Bosom Buddies. Bosom Buddies was canceled, something that Sean is going to experience one of these days.
Yeah. Don't worry, Sean's canceled 2 programs I've been on, so keep going.
And we will be right back.
Thanks to Fight Camp for supporting the show. Now, look, Sean, the holidays are coming.
Yeah, really fast.
Yeah, what's the most stressful time of the year? But we know the perfect gift to give everyone some much-needed stress relief. I cannot talk about this enough. You know what I'm going to say, right?
Guess what? I like this product. I want to be a better part of this product.
Fight Camp brings the best workout of the world into your home, and it makes it fun. You learn to box or kickbox from home with access to world-class programming, elite trainers, premium equipment, and smart technology that turns your workout into an interactive experience. Guys, I signed up for Fight Camp before they had anything anything to do with our show.
Okay,
Fight
you were
Camp, and
first.
you know who got me onto it? Guess. Take
me.
one guess who said
Mike
do it.
Tyson.
That's a different, no, it was a friend of ours who doesn't have any sleeves. I'll just say that.
Justin Thoreaux.
Thurux. Yeah, he's like, you got to do this. So I send away for it. Again, I paid for it. This is something I did my own. Fight Camp comes with all the gear you need to start boxing from home, including this freestanding punching bag and boxing gloves.
I want one.
And these hand wraps and these smart punch trackers that keep track of your workout and how many punches you're throwing, what your rate is, the power. Now is the best time to get your Fight Camp. Take advantage of their holiday deal going on now. If you purchase this November, you're going to get an additional pair of gloves for free. Just go to joinfightcamp.com/smartless to get an additional pair of gloves for free all November. Go to joinfightcamp.com/smartless. Joinfightcamp.com/smartless.
SmartLess gets support from Noom. Noom has built its entire platform on two things: research and wanting to help people lead healthier lives through behavioral change. Their team of behavioral health experts has PhDs and master's degrees in fields including psychology, integrative medicine, and neuroscience. These are smart folks, guys. These are people you have no risk in following. Even though they're all about evidence-based science, they're also passionate about creating a more empathic approach to creating a healthier life. Instead of setting a strict set of rules, Noom empowers you with the knowledge to build smarter and more sustainable habits and behaviors. Using a cognitive behavioral approach, you'll focus on the why instead of the what to change your relationship with eating. Noom only asks for 10 minutes of your day to teach you about your eating habits and check in on your progress. That's not a big ask. Guys, I say do it. Now, more than 80% of users complete the program. I have yet to try this, but I like what I hear from these folks. They sound very credentialed, very qualified, very smart. If you trust me, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to sign up for your trial and get psychology-based support and motivation to reach your goals at noom.com/smartless. That's NOOM.com/smartless.
This episode of SmartLess is brought to you in part by Keeps.
Sure is, Sean. Listen, we're going to hit you with some stats, gang. 2 out of 3 men will experience some form of hair loss by the time they're 35. More than 50 million men in the U.S. suffer, I'm going to put that in quotes, from male pattern baldness. I don't think it's suffering. I mean, this is what happens to dudes. And guess what? Bruce Willis made it real cool to be bald all the way back to Die Hard. So
That's right. And
listen,
so did
that's
Telly
just
Savalas.
me. Yeah, and Telly Savalas, by the way.
But there are only 2 FDA-approved medications that can prevent hair loss. And guess what? Keeps has them both.
Shut. Keeps offers a simple, stress-free way to keep your hair.
You'll get convenient virtual doctor consultations and medications delivered straight to your door every 3 months. You don't have to leave your home.
You sure don't, and it's low cost. Treatments just start at $10 a month, and Keeps offers generic versions too.
Everything comes in discreet packaging and results are proven.
Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors.
This is true.
That's a fact.
Prevention is key. Treatments can take 4 to 6 months to see results, so act fast.
If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/smartless to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/smartless to get your first month free. Keeps.com/smartless. Can you spell Keeps for us one last time, Sean?
Keeps.
Oh boy, we had some will leakage there.
Hey, sorry, I just wanted to jump in.
Yeah.
And now, back to the show.
Tom, would you agree that the routine of a sitcom actor is the best job in show business? Do you miss it still to this day?
Well, it is kind of a skate. It's a great hang, I'll tell you that. Mm-hmm. Because look, if you either you rehearse Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, camera block Thursday, shoot Friday.
Right.
Or you rehearse Thursday, Friday, Monday, camera block Tuesday, shoot Wednesday. Is that kind of like the schedule?
Yeah, that second one shoots Tuesday. Yes, you'd start on Wednesday.
Tuesday.
Yes.
What you're saying is 5 days of the week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're working with Jimmy Burrows, and then you can take the first day off of rehearsal and really becomes a 4-day work week, and it's only 3 weeks a month, so it's 12 working days a month.
These are really top secret things, man. You should never let the civilians
what are you doing?
hear.
Why are you blowing up?
And it's 6 hours a day.
Now everybody's going to want to be in showbiz.
There's
wait.
food, there's craft service,
Climate
you get
control.
a lot of breaks, you know.
Yeah, nice.
It is an awfully awfully fun thing. But when we did Bosom Buddies, Peter Scolari and I, my dear old pal,
One of the great shows.
we actually shot that show on video, not on the film cameras. Film cameras in those days, that was pretty much a bunt. Camera blocking day was just kind of like your stand-in did it. But we had 4 video cameras, and we had to do the entire camera blocking day ourselves on camera because they did a line cut, camera 3 and tighten up on 4 and 4. Let's come back to 2 and 2. You had to be there for that. So you worked a long day, and you did every line of that week's script over and over again. And he and I just started goofing around so much that's where we first got yelled at a couple of times. The director up in the booth, he'd come in over that top.
The voice of God.
Hey guys, listen, we're working really hard up here. Can you guys just kind of stick to the lines? Otherwise, we can't get the line cut in. We're trying. Check the tally lights on camera 3, Tom. When that comes on,
You speak.
And we didn't care. We were just goofing around so much.
How excited were you when you got that show? What was that moment? So young Tom Hanks, and you get Bosom Buddies. You booked it. It's your job. What was that?
Well, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was going to be on TV,
Right.
And I was going to be able, up to that point as a Shakespearean actor, I made less than $10,000 in a year for an entire year. And I was married and I had a kid. And I made that in 2 weeks on Bosom Buddies. So the financial reprieve was huge.
When was the last time you did Shakespeare?
I did Shakespeare 2 years ago here in Los Angeles. I played Falstaff.
Yes.
With the Shakespeare Center, Los Angeles.
Tom, tell that story. It was a video that I saw of you doing it. I can't remember. It was so funny. You pulled some guy out of the audience or something. What was that?
No, what happened was we had a medical emergency. A gentleman had a heart thing happen to him. And all of a sudden, the paramedics had to be called. We were doing it at the VA Center in the Japanese garden amongst the eucalyptus trees here in West Los Angeles. And, a guy had some sort of seizure, and we had to call the EMTs. And then we had to take a break. And the lights all came up. And it ended up being about a 30-minute hold while they took care of this gentleman. Right. And we were all backstage saying, should we do something? And then when I saw that people were leaving, it's like, oh, no. Yeah. I mean, it was about close to 3-hour show anyway. But when I saw a lady pick up her purse and move toward the exit. And I came running out, trying to scream and get back here, take thee thy seat or something.
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
so funny. But what was amazing was you were improvising in Shakespearean talk. That's what blew my mind, and it was super funny. God, it was so great.
It ended up being worthwhile, and it got enough people to stay. And I think I ridiculed enough people that made some lady cry, but out of laughter, tears of joy.
Sure. What was the a splash? By the way, for your birthday years and years ago, I sent you a poster, and I superimposed my face over Daryl Hannah's, and I said the note said you and I would have made a bigger splash. But
Tom doesn't remember that.
Had we only been the trailblazers then.
But what was that like? What was that feeling? Because as a kid, I was like, oh my God, every actor wanted to be Tom Hanks. Every actor wanted to be you.
Yeah.
Because
still to this day.
You were in all of this string of these massive comedy hits, right? And Big and Splash and just
I didn't know what I was doing. They asked me to be in a movie, so I said yeah.
But did you know when you started doing all those other movies? You did Big and you did all these things, and they were just getting. Did you know where you were going or what?
No,
we have no idea. They just said.
You had no plan.
But you were playing the lead, and you were incredibly charismatic, and you were compelling on screen. Like you were carrying things right out of the gate. Had you always had the confidence and the sort of the leadership qualities growing up, or did
I was just trying to remember the words. I was trying to speak loud enough to be heard.
But Tom, you are such
what a relief.
Listen,
I'll tell you the biggest lesson that I learned. And this was when I was at the Great Lakes Shakespeare Festival, just a day's drive from where I am right now in Lakewood, Ohio. in which Dan Sullivan, who directed the Henry Henry IV that I did as Falstaff. He directed that in 1977. We were in rotating rep, and I was carrying a spear, and I was doing everything that I was told to do. And we had just opened a production of Hamlet the night before. It was in rotating rep, so you open the shows about every 2 weeks, and then you ran a different show every night. That's what repertory means.
Sean.
And so we had opened up Hamlet, and we all had a rehearsal the next day for Taming of the Shrew, which I played. I played Grumio in Taming of the Shrew. And all of the equity company, the professionals, were hungover, exhausted, because they had all been out partying the night before because they had just opened Hamlet. So everybody was like somnambulistic and showing up at 10 o'clock. And no one really knew their lines yet, and everybody was kind of like shuffling around. And Dan Sullivan yelled at everybody. He yelled at everybody. He said, hey, 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 hey! We've got 3 weeks to get this show up on its feet. And you people are not even trying. For crying out loud, I can't do my job if you guys don't do your jobs. You guys have got to show up on time, you got to know your lines, and you've got to have an idea. I can't provide everything here. So let's take a break, mainline some coffee, chew it if you have to, right out of the jar, but come back here with some friggin' energy.
Fuck, I would cast you in the Dan Sullivan movie right now, by the way. Sorry, just for what it's worth. That was incredible.
I remember, okay, so you look, we're all like 19, 18, 20. I was 20 years old then, and that lesson really super stuck to me. If professional actors who have 20 years in the biz, as they often said, 20 years in the biz, I've never been yelled at like that. That was an important lesson. So all through all of these gigs that I had, the hits, thank you. The misses, let's forget those. That was always the thing that I thought the most important thing to do was show up on time, know your lines, and have an idea in your pocket.
Yes, for sure.
To bring it. That's all I did through all of those. I didn't know anything.
So, Tom, when you were doing all the string of comedies back then, and do you remember what it felt like, or do you remember that pivot moment when all of a sudden maybe you got offered a script, or you had a kind of dialogue with your agent, or what happened where you switched over to more, let's say, important films or more dramatic films?
Man, what a question! It's so great.
Thank you.
The way you.
That was the era of you could make a movie for about $15 million, and if you just said it was a comedy, it seemed to do some brand of business. Whether it was actually funny or not, it didn't matter.
Yeah, that was the time.
It was all, anybody who had said action and cut was trusted to direct a comedy movie, whether they were funny or not. And I made a ton of those. In which everybody came back, the dailies were fantastic. I think the audience is going to be standing on their feet at the end of this.
So, Tracy, dailies are the thing you watch as you're filming the movie. They get little clips.
The Russians, the day before stuff. And it doesn't matter if the movie was called Monkeys Make the Sun Go Down. Everybody would say, this is the funniest of all the movies. Right. The Cows of Tumbletown. This is going to be a magnificent comedy. Because the good comedies that were made, at the time, they were all with former Second City people, and Saturday Night Live people. But there was this, you could take a setting. This movie takes place on a ski slope. This movie takes place on a school bus. This movie takes place at a bachelor party, and it will be a comedy. And I made a billion of those like that because we're just kind of like doing imitations of other people's funny movies.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and I've said this about it, there are a few people out there who have this, and you are one of them, which is it doesn't matter what the movie was, you are always good. Mm-hmm. You're always, even doing, I joked about doing the Dan Sullivan, no matter what it is, you're committed, and that always kind of shines through. So I know that you talk about those misses. I mean, look, if it wasn't for bad movies, I wouldn't make any at all.
You wouldn't
myself.
be sitting in your dad's library.
Yeah, I wouldn't be in my dad's living back at my folks' house in Toronto. but it's true, and you always you always deliver in that way, because I always get the impression watching you that like you don't care what the thing is. You're just doing you're part of it and you're in the thing, and who gives a shit what
I don't want to discount some of the great stuff. I met great people, and we actually did some really funny stuff that really did work, and it was always always fun.
Also known as classics.
It was okay.
Exactly.
It's funny. I don't think we ever had a movie. Splash was well reviewed, and I don't think I had another decent review for about, I don't know, 6 or 7 films. But now you read about them, and they're cult classics. What?
Right.
They're a cult classic now? Jeez.
Right.
It didn't happen back in the day.
But once Philadelphia happened, I would imagine some of the scripts that were coming to you started to confuse things for you and your team a bit.
Well, I got older. That's the other thing too. There's a type of movie you can make in your late 20s. Here's a story. I turned 27 the day we wrapped the motion picture Splash. It was the last day of shooting. We were in the Bahamas. We had a cake that was actually for the wrap. Hey, let's celebrate the last day of shooting with a cake. And someone, I think with a tube of toothpaste, added in icing on the cake, "Happy birthday, Tom," because they found out it was my birthday. So that was, there's a movie that you make when you're 27 and in your early 30s and whatnot. And, I made a number of them, but you have to get older, you can't. And I was able to age into, Gary Marshall gave me a great role with Jackie Gleason in a movie called Nothing in Common. And then David Seltzer wrote and directed with Sally Field, Punchline, and then Big came along.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
But you get older, and you start singing. I will tell you, look, I'm not big on this kind of stuff, but there was one time I was sitting around with my crack showbiz expert who works for CAA, and he said to me, "What do you want to do?" And I said,
sounds exactly like Richard. That's a great impersonation.
Richard Lovett. There you go.
Beautiful impersonation.
What do you want to do? And I said, I want to play grown-ups. I want to play people who have been through bitter compromise, because I was in my mid-30s by that point.
Compromise, Jason, is a thing that people do.
Yeah,
when you hear the other person's side, and then you go, okay, I'm willing to shift my position a little bit, and whatever. We'll talk about it later when Tom's gone. Sorry, Tom.
Wait, Tom, you know what I always wanted to ask you, and this is going to be the dumbest question in the world, but
guaranteed.
But
he is the host, ladies and
gentlemen. That's right. In Castaway, right?
Yeah.
You, the volleyball is named Wilson. Now you're married to the wonderful Rita Wilson, who I love, I adore, we all do. Was that by design, because it could have been called Spaulding?
Jesus.
Could have been. It was written by Bill Broyles, and that, that movie took about 6 years to figure out. Bill Broyles and I started talking about it, and we weren't shooting it until 6 years later. And he came up with the idea of a volleyball, and he named it Wilson in honor of my beautiful bride. We've been married, we'll be 34 years in next April.
Hold for applause.
Hold for applause.
Yeah, good for you.
So, no, it could have been, and I think we added there you go. Thank you, Will.
Jesus Christ, that is a whole new level.
Cow.
I'm like Fred. I'm like Fred on Stern.
This is...
Now, but that brings me to Finch. Finch seems like it's got some qualities. I mean, if I was a hack studio executive, I'd say, it's Castaway meets Martian.
All movies are like that now. All movies are like that now.
Yeah.
Aren't they all? Essentially, you take this is
yes.
On the Waterfront meets Pal Joey by way of Paw Patrol. They're all movies are all kind of like that.
Yeah, but what you need is a relatable everyman that is empathetic, sympathetic, can alpha and beta inside a page. I mean, you are the man that could service all things.
I came up through that era of which every genre movie was about somebody who could not be killed or defeated. The cop that could not be filled.
I'm with you.
The fighter who never lost. And so I would, a geeky guy with a big butt, a big nose, and a squeaky voice. I took all the jobs away from Will because.
I know. By the way, I have what's called a pro dumper.
Yeah.
Well, you can't drive a spike with a tack hammer, as I've heard. And
Wait, I just have a
like
really
that.
quick Castaway story that we might cut out of this. But and Tom, I think I told you this, but I was working on Will and Grace with somebody who worked on the show, and we went after to his house after a taping one night, and we got super, super, super stoned. And Will knows this
this
story.
won't be cut.
Yeah, we got super, super, super stoned. And he said, look, I got a copy of Castaway. I got the DVD. Let's fast forward it to the plane crash because the effects are so crazy. Let's get totally high and watch. Like, how do they do that, right? And so he just moved in this house. It was this brand new equipment. And I'm sitting in the back of his screening room, and he's up front. He just moved into this crazy house. It's gorgeous. And he had no idea how his own equipment worked. And so I'm sitting in the back seat, and he can't get the DVD to play. And I said, oh no, is that a Sony? Totally high out of my mind. I go, is that a Sony? He goes, yeah. I go, oh, they're voice activated. Those are the new ones. You don't even know what you have. You have to speak the name of the movie into the machine after you put it in. And he goes, what are you talking about? I go, just listen to me. You have to say the name of the movie as you put it into the DVD player. He's like, are you serious? I go, 100%. I just read about these. So he turns back to the machine with his back to me, and he goes, Castaway. And it didn't play, and he waited a beat, and then he did it again. He goes, Castaway. And he turned behind me. I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard.
It's one of my.
Oh, that's
Bob
pretty good.
Zemeckis on that. He never cuts to the outside of the plane. That's one of the reasons why that plane crashes is good. It's just from
it's so cool.
just from the perspective of inside the plane. No eye
really
of
cool.
God kind of stuff. That's Bob.
Now, Tom, with all of your incredible set experience, was that what drew you? Was it part of what drew you to the director's chair? To just the effort to sort of streamline things because you knew probably more than a lot of the directors you may have been working with?
No, I think directing that becomes sort of a bit of an ego thing because you become convinced that you know more than you actually do. But
Jason,
seriously,
Yeah, but then you try it and you're like, oh my God, this is hard.
I believe every actor should direct. I think
Yeah.
every director should have to act. I think
Yeah.
we should all be writing and producing because you find out how hard it is to do that other job.
For sure.
From an actor's perspective, it's like, you got somebody saying, that was pretty good, try it again. And you want to say to him, do you realize I'm on a horse weeping because my dog died and I'm trying to remember 6 pages of dialogue at the same. Do you realize it's a little harder than it is? Man, let's try it again. That along with the same thing of an actor saying, hey, are we going to shoot this or what? Are we shooting or what?
Right.
You have to realize that everybody has 9 million things going on inside their head. And also, well, look, we're all storytellers. At some point, we can have a sense of what might fit into our mouths a little bit better and maybe some options. It goes back to the thing Dan Sullivan always said, which have an idea in your pocket. Have something that you can come out and say, this isn't on the page, but let me show you something else here.
So since you have directed, when you do come to the set as an actor with an idea in your pocket, are you sensitive to that there might actually be a plan in place that director and that crew has been working on for weeks, and that your idea might disassemble the house of cards?
Might suck. There might not be room for it. So then you try it once, and they say don't do that, and then you don't do it.
Right.
It's pretty relatively easy stuff.
Is that desire to direct still burning in you, or
I
no?
can't say that I have the instinctive powers of being a director. As an actor, I think I know what I want to do. Read it, and I say, no, I know what direction I'll go to. Directing requires a fidelity and a patience and an ability to communicate that. After I've done it I've directed 2 feature films. I've directed a number of episodes of the miniseries that we've done, and I like those because I wrote them more. I wrote on them at the same time. But I think directors more so than myself as an actor. They're born into it. You know, you have to think it's the greatest job in the world.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's not.
Yeah. Do you enjoy the producing part of it all with what you guys have
I
been
don't
doing?
really produce.
Well, but you guys churn out. It's really, you shouldn't slough over it.
It's the alliances that I make with other people that really do all the work.
But the amount of you're incredibly prolific as a producer. You and Gary at Playtone. Yeah, I mean it's you've employed an incredible amount of people. You've put a lot of product out there. That's not easy, and it's incredibly admirable.
I'm very lucky because we have extremely good people, and we do this. You know, we have a kind of like a clubhouse office where we lean in each other's doorway and say, you know, is this really a feature film, guys? I'm not so sure it's a feature film. Shouldn't it be like a 12-part miniseries instead, so we can really examine the theme, and then you make nothing but a ton of alliances. But I'm not a producer because this is what producers do every day. They get on the phone and they try to convince somebody to do something they do not want to do.
Right.
Or they tell somebody on the phone that there's no way that they are going to do what that person on the phone really wants to do. That's pretty much it. It's that dichotomy.
Right,
I always just say, sure, no matter what they're saying.
Right.
We'll be right back.
Thanks to Liquid IV for their support.
In my daily routine, Will,
Sure.
I do sweat and I lose fluids, specifically electrolytes, and I believe Liquid IV can help me with that. Is that correct?
I can't believe that we're in this area. It feels like it's tailor-made for you, but I will say this. Cooler weather makes it easier to miss signs of dehydration, like overheating, or you were talking about perspiration, which means that it's even more important to keep your body properly hydrated, which I know you like to do. And with flu season in full swing, we could all use some extra hydration and vitamins or vitamins to boost our immune systems.
And I'm hearing that one stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water hydrates faster and more efficiently than water alone.
Liquid IV is made with clean ingredients. It's non-GMO vegan and free of gluten, dairy, and soy. Plus, it contains 5 essential vitamins, more vitamin C than an orange, as much potassium as a banana, and less sugar than an apple. Jay?
Well, what makes Liquid IV so effective? Cellular transport technology is the answer. More specifically, it's the optimal ratio of glucose, sodium, and potassium that delivers water and nutrients into the bloodstream.
The gang over there, they're on a mission to change the world. The company is donating 4 million servings in response to COVID-19. Yeah. Products are being donated to hospitals, first responders, food banks, veterans, and active military. And they've donated over 11 million servings globally, dude.
Gosh, and what about their flavors?
So here are the flavors. Some of the flavors. Watermelon, delicious.
Sure.
Passion fruit.
That's for the lovers out there.
Sure. Yes, please. Let me get a little bit of that. A lemon ginger.
Do they have that?
Of course they have that. Are you kidding?
Listener, you can grab your favorite Liquid IV flavors, whatever they are, nationwide at Walmart. Or you can get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code SmartLess at checkout. That's 25% off anything you order when you get better hydration today using promo code SmartLess at liquidiv.com.
Yeah. SmartLess is supported by Helix.
Helix Sleep has a quiz that takes just 2 minutes to complete and matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. It's a quiz.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's super easy.
I took it. No, but you're throwing that at me.
Yeah. Well, because it's fun. It's the only quiz I've passed in many years.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, here's the great thing. Helix knows that everyone sleeps differently, and so they have several models to choose from. Soft, medium, and firm mattresses. Mattresses great for cooling down if you sleep hot. Mattresses great for spinal alignment, and even a Helix Plus mattress for plus-size sleepers. So we all took the Helix quiz, right? You were saying that. And Jason, remember, he won't shut up about the birch.
Yeah, he loves the birch.
He loves the birch by Helix. He loves it.
That's all he talks about.
I know, which is good for us because it means that he really likes this product.
Yeah.
But also, like, give it a rest. Dude.
Rest. Get it?
Yeah. Give it, a
rest? It's good.
I did
So
it.
all you have to do is head to helixsleep.com/smartless, take their 2-minute sleep quiz. Super easy, super fun. Order the mattress you're matched to, and it'll arrive right at your door, shipped for free.
And they have a 10-year warranty, Sean. And you get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free, unless you're sleeping on the side of a mountain or whatever. And so there are risks that are outside the mattress. You know what I mean? Or you're on an iceberg or whatever. I mean, that's outside of what they can't guarantee.
They can't cover
there
that.
There won't be risks with that.
Right.
But they'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it. But you will.
Yeah. And Helix has financing options and flexible payment plans, so a great night's sleep is never far away.
Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/smartless. That's helixsleep.com/smartless.
This episode of SmartLess is brought to you by McDonald's, proudly serving communities since 1965.
So one of my favorite things is those days when I go to pick up my kids early from school because they've got like a doctor's appointment or an eye appointment, or they've got to do something that means that they get out of school. And it feels like we're kind of playing hooky together, which is really fun.
Right.
And invariably on those days when I pick them up and I'll say, where do you want to go for lunch? My boys will always... First off, go, can we go to McDonald's?
All right.
And my answer is always yes, because you know that experience. And I remember having that experience when I was a kid of like going with my dad or my mom, like going to McDonald's on that kind of free borrowed time in the middle of the week.
And 9 times out of 10, when you bring your kids to those McDonald's,
Yeah.
who's sitting inside?
Sean Hayes.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Sean Hayes is in there.
With a
And-
burger in my hand and a chicken McNugget in the other.
Yeah. Well, they're generally in your mouth. They're not really in your hand much.
It's true. It's true.
They don't spend a lot of time in your hand, let's be
Nope.
honest.
And McDonald's, you like it, right?
No, Sean, let me be really clear about this.
Yeah.
When it comes to McDonald's,
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
And now back to the show.
Let me ask you what's your feeling about this this transition that we're all into a bit more of a streaming element, married with box office, theatrical, going to the theater, paying some money for a ticket versus having it at home. Do you what is your opinion on that as somebody in the business, and then also as somebody who is a viewer? Do you like the fact that there is less pressure now, maybe with not having to open on the weekend because it's streaming? Do you think about that?
That's a pressure that doesn't come upon the actor because, look, the movies are always binary. They're either 00 or 01. They either work or they do not work. Mm-hmm. And if they don't work, there's no amount of marketing or interviews that you can do.
Right.
On podcasts in order to change the zeitgeist. Mm-hmm. The pressure remains absolute. The pressure is the speed of light in order to make a great story. The audience, I think, if I can pontificate just a little bit here,
please do,
doesn't care where they see it. The business does, the marketing, the producers and the studios and the grand entertainment industrial complex, they would like things to be exactly as they were, but we have a business that is forever changing. Back in 1980, when you guys were still in junior high school, and the concept of home video was just beginning. Here's a story that goes back a long way. When we were, the first year that Peter and I were in bosom buddies, a VHS tape machine, a player at home, cost about $4,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the only people that had them were incredibly wealthy, rich people. The
3/4 inch, we're two, weren't they?
Well, by that time VHS was just beginning, and in a neighborhood, maybe a guy named Doug would open up Doug's Video Rental Shop. SHOPPE,
right. old-timey video shopping.
And on one side of the rental space would be VHS tapes, and on the other side would be a smaller collection of Beta, Sony Betamax. And eventually Beta went away, and it was all just VHS. And by the time, I think the next year, VHS machines were only like $1,800, and then everybody was renting. And the concept that it was great, of course, to be able to record shows after you went through this arcane kind of like process of on-off recording, timing. But the bigger thing is that if you had kids and you had a VHS of Dumbo, they would get up in the morning on their own and put in Dumbo, and you didn't have to get up. This was huge. And here we are in 2021, and the industry is going through something akin to that change because guess what? As Gary Getzman, my partner at Playtone, said, sitting at home and watching something on your TV is not that bad.
Right.
So good.
Tom, you said to me years ago, you said, you know what, Sean, the business is always changing and you have to adapt and change with it. Not as an actor or the craft of creating things, just you have to keep an open mind and go with the flow of it. Otherwise, why? And if you fight it, you're just dead in the water.
Why didn't you take that advice? Why didn't you do it?
Yeah, what happened there, Sean? Because now you're reduced to hosting
What did you
the
decide?
Heartless podcast. Is it Heartless?
It's Heartless.
Or SmartLess?
You're known as Dumbo, the host of Heartless.
We were very lucky. We were very lucky at Playtone because one of our first deals was at HBO, and this was old school HBO. No commercials. You could say anything you wanted to. There was no language. There was no. And at that point, HBO doing a series or a movie or a miniseries on HBO, that was the gold standard.
Yeah,
man.
right.
Seemed as though you had all the freedom in the world, and now you have even more of that, all the freedom in the world, but. It still comes down to this very basic requirement. You've got to be putting out an awfully good product. Otherwise, it will disappear into the mist, like many of my early films. Thanks, guys.
No. But how have you not? I'm surprised because it seems like they've tried to gobble up everybody. How have you not? When did Marvel call you and say, Tom, we need you to play, Dr. Universe, and we need you to do 12 films, and you have to play Dr. Universe. Did that ever happen? Because
here's the problem. First of all, they've never called me once.
I can't believe that.
No, never. And I think that if one of these days they will, and they'll say, "Is there any way you would consider playing the Secretary of Defense?"
Yeah,
Right.
A guy who comes and says, "Please help us, Ultraman. We can't survive." Well, I'll be one of those guys. I don't get to play the punk kung fu.
But God bless you, because you still make the kinds of films. You have continued in an era where most features are, the feature film market is dominated by these huge.
Some of those are great. Some of those are a blast.
No, I'm saying they're great, and I have a lot of friends who do them. And
well, they're not all
them.
Great, but some of them are really.
I said some. I said
really
some, but some of them are good, and we all have friends who we adore and who are super talented who make those. I'm not saying that. But it seems like a shrinking market for films that stand on their own because it's a great story and has a great cast and blah, blah. And you seem to be one of those people. You're in a very unique position that you're still making those films, which I think is awesome. We chastised J.J. Abrams. We were like, go and make some comedies, JJ. We were giving him shit.
Because he wants to. But it's because, Tom, Tom, you are us, and you have maintained being us. You, as famous and as successful as you have become for as long as you have been, you have still stayed very grounded, it seems, and normal. And I would imagine that is just something you're stuck with from when you were a little kid, and you probably got a couple of parents to thank for that, I would imagine.
My parents divorced when I was 5 years old, guys.
Way to go, Jason. Way to fucking go.
This is why I'm not getting the nominations. This is where Sean really does his research. He would know that.
Yeah.
Tom, I don't know this. What did your folks think about you getting into the biz-distry, as I call it?
I started doing it for fun in high school because I couldn't believe that you could go and do plays in high school and get credit for it. This is school. I remember specifically thinking that the first time I walked into a drama class. And I did it because some friends of mine from junior high had been in the plays. And I just said, what? I can come to school and do this? Well, this is screwing around, man. This is goofing off in class.
I felt the exact same way. I was like, oh my God, everybody's just laughing. This is great.
And both my dad, who and eventually my mom, because we lived in different places. when my mom came and saw me and stuff, they just thought, well, this is just wonderful. This is look what Tommy found.
Yeah. Sean, you've talked about that. You just said it. You had that same thing, right? Where you were like, this is amazing. This is so much fun. And I can't believe I get to do this in 5, 6, 7, 8. And then
yeah, and then
hit it, Sean. Hey, now, Sean, when you did Promises on
thank you, everybody. Applause.
He's never brought it up. That's weird. He's never mentioned it.
And it was a big hit. And you said something to me, because Sean and I see each other off,
socially,
off
not
camera.
just on this podcast.
So after you had done Promises, and it was huge because you played the piano on stage and you did all this stuff. It was a big Broadway hit, right? A number of years ago. And I said, are you going to do it again? Do you have the desire to get up and do another Broadway show? And you said something that was, I swear to God, the only person I heard make the same sort of reference. Are you ready for this? I read it as a quote from Laurence Olivier.
Okay.
You said, I'm not sure I have the fire in the belly.
Yes, that's
in order to get up and do 8 performances or something like that. And I remember when Laurence Olivier was older, and he was always asked, well, will you ever get up at the National again, what have you? And he says, no, because it requires a stronger heart. And he wasn't talking about medically. He was talking about all the effort that goes into the fire in the belly.
Well, Sean, because you would do 8 shows a week. I remember we've talked a lot about Promises, but you said some of the same. You were like, I do it. You did it for 9 months or a year. How long did you do it for?
A year.
A year.
A year.
I remember you saying similar thing that you said to Tom. You said the same thing. I said, would you do it again? And you said, I don't know if I have it in me.
Yeah.
5, 6,
7, 8.
And then you just went.
No, it's true, Tom. And I relayed that to you about the constant work ethic you have to jump from movie to movie to movie to movie over these decades, and they're all great, and your work, like Jason said, it's always fantastic. You always committed. You're always in it.
Well, you're very kind.
And I switched that question back to you about filmmaking. Do you still have the fire in the belly to travel and get up at 5 and stay in this hotel and that hotel? And you said, yeah, because it's what I love to do. And
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
There's no other way of putting it. Look, it's more fun than fun. That was something that I learned a long time ago before I got my job at the Great Lakes Shakespeare Festival. Work in the theater is more fun than fun. And I thought, well, yeah, this is a great way to spend your day. It's not just a lifestyle or life's work. It's a life.
I love that. And now listen, out of all of your entire repertoire, all of your credits, is there
He's
one
gonna ask
movie?
you, what is your favorite movie? Jesus Christ.
No. Is there one movie or experience that was extra special to you that will always stick in your brain?
I will say, look, yes, they all are in so many ways. I've never had a rotten time making a movie. I've always come away from a movie saying, I can't believe they pay me to do this. That was fantastic. Despite the discomforts in the 5 in the morning, a little harder at the age of 65, I guess. But the experience of making the movie, That Thing You Do, I cast it with a bunch of friends. We had a great time. It was the beginning of the company that I formed.
So great. I love that movie.
With Gary Getzman and everybody else down at Playtone. I could do that again and again and again. That was
really that the first film you directed?
That was the first, not the first directing gig I had, but it was the first feature film, And it was it had music in it, and it was very personal because it was set in 1964. So it was, but every gig is magnificent. The ones that maybe disappoint a little bit are the ones where you don't get to spend enough time doing it. Like I just did 2 weeks with Wes Anderson in Spain, with the Wes Anderson Repertory Company, and that was fantastic. And I was bummed out. I said, we got to leave. We've shot out my role. I gotta go now. I'd like to linger for a little bit.
I just got to do a couple days with our buddy Taika Waititi, and it was just the greatest experience. And then it was we did a show for HBO, and then I just did his movie, and I was like, it was like the greatest, most fun month And then I'm like, oh, and it's over.
Yeah.
And that was, I just want to go and play with that gang.
Don't we get to have that 90-day experience here off somewhere, you know, pounding something out and getting up and 11?
Well, you've given us not 90 days, but a solid hour of your very, very valuable time.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank
Tommy.
you on behalf of these two fellow SmartLess folks, as well as everyone in America and the world for providing us all these little worlds that you have created that we all get to live in, and they've all
Is
been
there a
fantastic.
podcast award for second bananas or third bananas that you, Jason, and
I will
Will
beat
might
Will
be
at
up
that.
for?
Will
Sure,
and
so
I
I
are
hope
going to
so.
battle for that one.
You have to ask questions like, "What's your favorite movie?"
Yeah,
No, you've got a monopoly on that.
you got it all.
I would
buttoned up.
say that in Canada, this is known as Will Arnett's SmartLess.
That's true. It's true.
Wait,
The
what?
number one podcast in Canada.
I think I just got voted Canada's favorite son. I'm not sure, but I'm putting it out there in case anybody wants to latch onto that and start making that a thing. I'm happy to.
Well, it's a delight talking to you guys.
You
I'm,
too, Tom. Thank you for
likewise.
saying
The
yes
delight
to
is
this.
ours, Tom. I just words don't express how I feel. I'm such
You're
a
very kind, guys. And listen, good luck on the. Is there a name for this award yet?
It's the iHeartRadio Awards.
The iHeartRadio
it's
Awards.
or it might be called the Aorta.
Who are you up against? That would be a big question there.
Oh, that's a great question.
Hardcore history, maybe up against hardcore history.
Fingers crossed.
It's so great to see
Thanks, Tom,
Thanks
very
so
much.
much. Good to see you guys. Hope that we'll hang at all those places that people like us end up at.
you. For sure.
All right, take care, guys.
Bye. Thank you, Tom.
Okay,
All right,
pal.
buddy.
Lots of love to you.
Bye bye.
Bye, Tom. I think he's gonna make it. That guy's got some charisma.
Jason, let me just say this. You've been complaining for a couple of weeks. You've been saying, man, great guest, you guys. And then you just decided you pulled out one of these, what I
Mr.
now
Tom
refer to as, because I don't use this word, as the topper card. I'm going to now call it the topper card.
He's that. He's a blue chip, that one right there.
Oh, man, what a delight. I mean, he's just like,
He does have that thing, and I kept trying to figure out a way to ask him this without him deflecting as he does so well, so humbly. And I just kind of bailed on it because I knew he wouldn't. He's just got that. He is us. He is completely personable and authentic. He's every bit a leader that you'd want him to be, but he doesn't seem like he's too arrogant or cocky to I don't know, how does he?
You mean us as an audience, not us three?
Yes,
Yeah.
like he's just like he's the guy you want to follow and are never annoyed,
Everyman.
watching him, or I don't know. It's been so consistent.
yeah, I
too.
don't see myself as an everyman.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
what
you're
do you see
definitely
yourself
not.
as?
No, definitely
I see
not.
myself, I'm special.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
You see
So
yourself
yeah,
as
he-
Doug?
I'm like the boss of the everyman, you know? So when I'm there, when I see Tom come in, I'm like, it's great spending time with one of my employees.
I hope he keeps staying as prolific as he is. I mean, what he's doing, at least a film a year.
Same here. That's what I meant about the movies he makes. I love that he keeps making movies that are like, it just seems like not a lot of other people are making. And his new movie, which we talked on, what is the Finch?
Yeah, Finch.
No, not the Finch.
Just
Finch. Finch.
Yeah.
It's a bird.
Yeah, Finch. It's on Apple, and it's basically
When is it on Apple? When is it? It's not on now.
first week in November.
November 5th.
First week, November 5th.
November
Okay?
5th.
Yeah.
So he's doing this movie, Finch. And the sequel is going to be The Finch, I heard.
Yeah, no.
No, it's called Fincher. It's called Fincher.
Oh, it's called Fincher.
And David
More
Fincher's
Finch.
directing it. Yeah,
David
they're shooting
Fincher's
it right now.
doing-
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Dude, this is showbiz is incredible.
I know it's everything is aligned, but it's him and a dog and a robot, and
I
this
know.
is not the start of a joke. But
Yeah.
could anybody pull off a high wire act like that?
But they do walk into a bar. It
There
should
is
be-
one
they
bar.
do walk into a bar.
Yeah.
Be fair. In fairness, they walk. But I saw the trailer too with my almost 13-year-old, and we watched it and looked at each other. We're like,
Yeah,
we'll watch that.
absolutely.
Yeah. And don't you feel like he's kind of like our ambassador, not just for
Absolutely.
the business and not just for Hollywood, not just for Los Angeles, but like America too?
Yes,
like
absolutely.
He's like quintessentially American, and like
He's one of
you
the few
know,
people we can both sides, if you will,
Yeah.
can agree on.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Wait, what's the other side?
I just meant like both, like,
What is it?
never mind. Everybody in America can agree on.
Oh, those multi. Yeah, LaShawn, we are not political.
Sorry.
Please.
What are you trying to do?
You trying to lose your award?
You trying to wade me into deep water and then you're going to take me down like a crocodile and keep me under? Or alligator?
Bye.
God damn
You
it.
can't fucking bail out like
can't
that. You
just
can't
throw
bail
it in
yourself
there.
out. Yeah. You can't be saved by your own bell.
We've used every word that you could do with bye.
No, not at all.
No,
not
but
at
also
all.
you were just trying to bail yourself out of a sinking
was.
ship, and
I
you can't use "by" as some kind of instrument to bail out your sinking ship.
Why not? I just did it.
Yeah.
I guess you can. Sorry, there is no rule on that. You're right. You can.
But do you think that when he first moved...
Oh boy. Oh no, sorry. Sean, let's hear it. Come on, go ahead.
One of the questions I didn't get to here was he was 1979. He made a move to New York City,
Right.
and he was trying to be an actor full time. So I wonder if he was just trying to take a bite out of the apple in 1979.
A bite?
Bite?
A bite?
I'm not confident with this.
A bite.
That's the least.
It's the
We
worst.
didn't buy. We were happy. I'm gonna
taking a
allow
big
it. A bite.
Bite out of the apple.
SmartLess is 100% organic and artisanally handcrafted by Bennett Barbaco, Michael Grant Terry, and Rob Armjarf. SmartLess. Our next episode will be out in a week wherever you listen to podcasts, or you can listen to it right now early on Amazon Music, or early and ad-free by subscribing to Wondery Plus in Apple Podcasts or the Wondery app.